Good evening, friends. Good evening, beautiful community. As I saw Martin addresses us in the chat and also as Vlad Wexler always does. So happy to be with you here. I wanted our chat today so much. Please let me know if you can see me and you can hear me well. Yes, Ken, it's Anna time, but it's not just Anna time. It is the time of our beautiful community. Once again, I'm very happy to be with you today. If something will happen to the sound, it is not because of the microphone, it may be because of the connection. You know, we are a country at war with orcs constantly targeting our infrastructure, so problems may happen, but hopefully they will not interfere and we will be able to connect and discuss all the topics that we want. I was so happy to read all of your conversations before actually we turn on. And I'm so happy that we have this, our warm, smart community. And first of all, I want to thank the brave moderators, Rudy and Martin, who fight the trolls, but hopefully we won't have many. And they will simply keep advising us to like, to subscribe, or give good questions. So happy to see you from different places, from Sweden, from Portugal, from the United States. So glad that you are here. Hello, AJ. Happy to see you, sister. Um, Thank you so much for joining. Good hunt, moderators. Yeah, the more trolls appear, the more problems Russia has. And actually, I have decided, greetings to Wisconsin and London Oblast. And so happy. Michael, happy to see you. And Francois, I know, may not have a perfect connection, but he has a perfect spiritual connection with us. Internet does not matter. Greetings to Wales. Thank you so much for coming today. Greetings to the Netherlands and Trev in Yorkshire. Hopefully you feel better. But this is the weather for colds and sneezing and so on. Carlos, greetings to Portugal. Thank you so much, John and Graham and Christian. And I'm really happy that you made it today. And I'm very happy to see Pat. And Pat, thank you for buying the coffee and the message. I share your feelings like 100%. And greetings, Matt. And perhaps before we continue to the good topic, and that is inevitable dissolution or collapse of the Russian Federation, I would like to tell you that honestly, I am a bit concerned and super worried. And you know that on my channel, greetings to Denmark. Thank you so much. So beautifully said, George. The world waves at Anna, and Anna waves at all the friends. I am worried, that on the channel I don't speak much about the politics that is not of Ukraine. And I think this is a golden rule because, first of all, your country is better. Second, I hate it when someone thinks they know a lot about Ukrainian politics when they don't. For example, greetings to Norway. Thank you so much, Martin. And I will keep to this rule, but one thing that I can say, it is obvious that the whole world is paralyzed, waiting for the results of the US elections. So congratulations, guys from the United States. You can feel how important you are on this planet, whether you want it or not. I can clearly see how all decisions are frozen, how all political leaders do not even express what they think, waiting who will be the next president of the United States. Hello, Neil, and I'm sure you will ask people to like the videos. And one of the most important things that I want to tell is that whether you want it or not, but the United States of America, that's a big country that influences a lot. And you cannot just like stop being that way. And we can clearly see, yeah, you are right, Don, so right, that Kim Jong-un is not waiting, and we can clearly see how these authoritarian regimes are uniting. Greetings to Boston. Hello, Chris. Hello, Phil. And, um, once again, not getting into the US politics, I can clearly see how EU leaders are afraid to express what they think, waiting for who's going to be the next, what kind of politics will be. And this is bad because this means that we don't have a steady vision. We don't have a steady position, like no matter who is the president of the United States or no matter who is the prime minister of the UK, we all know that Putin is a war criminal. And the only thing that I will allow myself to say, greetings, Cheryl, that I will never accept as a president a person who thinks that Putin is a politician, that Putin is a president, that Putin is a leader of Russia, when in reality Putin is a boss of mafia, when in reality Putin is a war criminal and he is a murderer responsible for the deaths of thousands of innocent people. So if someone will try to treat him as a politician and speak positively about him, definitely it's not the person that I can ever respect. It's not it's not a quarrel, it's not a conflict, it's, for my country, it's a genocide. And another important thing that I loved, recently there was a very good speech of General Zaluzhny. Thank you so much, Sorit. And thank you so much for being with us today. I do not know for sure, like whether he composed the speech himself or someone helped. By the way, I know we have friends in the UK. Tell me, have you seen General Zaluzhny in the newspapers or elsewhere? Because he is actually right now an ambassador to your country. Thank you so much for buying me coffees. And yes, I'm speaking about his Chatham House speech. And there are lots of really good things there. Honestly, I have an idea to make an interview with one very respected by me military person and to discuss the speech of General Zaluzhny. But there is one thing that I agree with him 100%, and that is we can clearly see how North Korea, Russia, China, and Iran are working together. They are working together and they are very effective. Greetings, Iman. And they are very effective. And I hope everyone understands that it is not just about Ukraine. It would be honestly we say it in Ukraine with a pinch of humor, it would be too much honor. If all of these super countries like China, Russia, Iran, North Korea were united just to defeat Ukraine. I hope you realize that it's not about Ukraine. It's about the change of everything. It's about the change of the world order. It's about authoritarian regimes ruling and dictating. And it was very important that, first of all, thank you so much, Dan. Of course, in China, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Yeah, I like this viral music video that reacted to the speech. Hi, Roger. So anyway, right now we observe how quickly they cooperate with each other. We see that North Korean soldiers, 12,000 of North Korean soldiers are ready to come to kill Ukrainians. And everybody sees that. I had a question from some subscribers, how is it possible? How will they travel? North Korea and Russia, they are close to each other. Russia has developed additional railroad branches, and now it will not be difficult for North Korean soldiers to travel with the railroad. And actually, many of them are already training, and these are the results not of Ukrainian intelligence, where you may say that we are subjective, but these are the results of the South Korean intelligence. The UK intelligence proves that too. Greetings to Sweden. And Privet to Holland. And it is happening right now, and everybody sees that because, it is the war of the 21st century where you can clearly see everything, what is happening, and nothing. Like, people keep observing, leaders keep observing, and the greatest reaction that you can receive is phrases like, oh, this is going to be a great mistake for North Korea if they do it. North Korea itself is the greatest mistake. North Korea is pathetic in its craziness. It was the most isolated, the most sanctioned country. And I have a question to you once again, like, think about 10 years ago, 20 years ago, if someone would see Putin next to the leader of the North Korea, that would be treated as something. Oh my God, greetings to India and greetings to Romania. I know you were trying to stop something that crossed your border, and that something was evil, perhaps Russian drone. So what we see here, greetings to Ireland, I love your country. And, it is awful that something that would cause a tremendous reaction 20 years ago from the US, from our European partners, is now treated as, oh, that's a bad mistake. That's another escalation. Let's watch and see what happens to Ukraine. Oh, Ukraine, something bad happened to you again. Oh my God, it's not going to be good, but you cannot strike Russia. No, because this will lead to escalation. Thank you so much, Thomas. So this is very I know I have a problem how to pronounce this. Acts of evil, is it correct? Or X, because it's X's, but I'm Ukrainian and there are some words that I mispronounce, and that's the one. That's why I always walk around this phrase. But in Ukrainian, if you would like me to say a phrase in Ukrainian, we can actually add that. Access. Okay, Michael is trying to help me. Access. But it sounds like excess. Okay, excess of evil. You see, you give me different versions, guys. So you've got it. In Ukrainian, this is vis zla. Not very easy, right? Vis zla. Vis zla формується, і ми з вами це бачимо. That was a bit of Ukrainian. I thought it might be interesting for you to hear the sound of Ukrainian language. So this is clearly, once again, I know we are strong, we are great, but let's be realistic. They are united not just against us, because we are too small for China. We are too small for, and literally we may say, thank you so much, Peter. Literally, we may say that right now Ukraine is fighting one Ukraine that gave up its nuclear weapons for the guarantees of safety and security, and we are now fighting with two nuclear countries, and we are not allowed to strike back because I don't know what, because of fear, because of weakness, unfortunately. And you know that I often watch Vlad Wexler. Some of you follow him, some of you don't. But greetings to Michigan. I love your state and Michigan University. We cooperated recently from Ann Arbor. So anyway, what is interesting is that we clearly see this shaping. We clearly see everyone is paralyzed with fear. And once again, Wexler tried to analyze Zelensky victory plan. And, lots of people were saying, instead of supporting Ukraine, were saying, oh, that's unrealistic. We're going to be afraid of that. We cannot support Ukraine that much, and so on. And if I can like rephrase what Vlad said, and he actually wrote it in his community tab, that was just like Zelensky addresses healthy democracies, something that was 20, 30 years ago. Unfortunately, right now, many of our countries go through very evil and dangerous for the democracy processes. That's why we also clearly see uh, the lack of leadership to some extent. Once again, I've told you that I have never been a huge, like that big fan of Zelensky. Thank you so much, James. But now I see that yes, he is one of the greatest leaders right now in the world. And not just because he's that good, but because there are not so many leaders in the world, not so many people who are ready to take responsibility. Shabona Lake, you know, I love you, and greetings to you and even the aliens in the lake. Thank you so much, Marcel, and thank you so much, William. Happy you're here. Thank you so much, Godzi. Thank you for your support and your understanding. So, unfortunately, we clearly see that lack of this leadership leads to indecisiveness. And, you know, thank you so much, Pat. I hope we are right in our optimism. You know, once again, I have finished another book of Peter Pomerantsev. I've told you he's the author who wrote a perfect book about propaganda and how dangerous it is. And this one was his first book, actually, Nothing is True and Everything is Possible, about crazy Russia of the 90s, of the 2000s. That's my childhood, and I remember a lot of that period because unfortunately many things in Ukraine were quite similar, but we evolved and they degraded, really, because like Soviet Union was a trash, and then we evolved into imperfect but democracy, like a country you can work with, a country you can change, a country you can develop, and they degraded. But I loved reading this book. He's capable of conveying very important messages. Thank you so much, Lukasz. And at the same time, he is able to convey these messages in very interesting examples and text. So you're not reading a boring scientific nonfiction book, but you are reading something like a detective story. He writes about, I don't know, this crazy Moscow models and criminals from Far East and TV channels, and everything is very interesting. Thank you so much. Czech Republic is beautiful and Prague is beautiful. And thank you so much, Daniel. So it is extremely, extremely important. I see that guys are hunting for some trolls. I can see it. I only started reading something negative, disappeared. So greetings and gratitude to Martin and Rudy. And it is important to understand that somehow, and like he finishes this book about Russia of the 2000s, saying that it is like that, for example, lots of Russian oligarchs now live in thank you so much, Sulijo, that now lots of Russian oligarchs, especially at the beginning of 2000s, moved to the United Kingdom, in particular to London, and they buy the best real estate there, and they are like living there, buying art, participating in parties, and that to some extent London grad, yeah, and to some extent, like people, natives, they see this difference, they see this dirty Russian money, how careless they are with this money. Thank you so much, Godzi. Thank you for your support and becoming a sponsor and helping, like supporting so many people too. Thank you. So, and that they see that Russians try to copy English lifestyle and so on. But in reality, these Russians, thank you so much, Neil, In reality, they are, thank you so much, Pat, for the advice. I haven't, but I've heard about the book. So they are trying to copy the lifestyle, but at the same time, they are shaking your rules. They are influencing, they are bringing more corruption, they are undermining more of the rules. And he says that a very important and a very dangerous, um, like conclusion, that we believe that democracy is like the final stage of the country's development, and when you are a democratic country you are stronger, and these authoritarian countries, they are weaker, and one day all of them will become democratic, people will dominate, and so on. This is very nice. Slava мисливцям на тролів, which says glory to the troll hunters, Rudy, Martin. So unfortunately, the democracies, especially with these authoritarian regimes uniting, democracies are very endangered. This is like they are undermining, they are actually using a lot of our democratic values to fight against us, to interfere in the elections, to interfere in various policies, and so on. For example, Russians can bomb children's hospitals, and we cannot take the frozen assets of Russian oligarchs because this will not be democratic. We cannot, for example, 600, not like 900, close to 1,000 objects of Ukrainian cultural heritage were destroyed by Russia, but we cannot ban Russians from participating in a particular exhibition or something because that's undemocratic. So this is insane, and this is extremely offensive also for me as a Ukrainian. But we have a very good topic of our today's stream, and that is the dissolution of Russia. And I know that we are a community that supports freedom, democracy, and understands that sometimes we have to fight for democracy. And I will quote Scott, please hit like button. This helps more videos to become more visible. And actually, Martin, today after the video, we will have another Russian geography lesson because Ukrainian drones did a good job today. And that will be a video I invite you to watch later. But now I have a question to you, knowing that once again we are in our very healthy environment, in the environment that values human life, freedom, and democracy. But the question is, are you afraid of the dissolution of Russia? Let me know. And if you are afraid, yeah, geography will come later. If you are afraid, and once again, I am totally okay if you are afraid, you have your reasons. Why? Thank you so much. Дякую, Victoria. Дякую за гарні слова. So, if someone is afraid, because I see that more and more people, more and more indecisive leaders are trying to hide behind this idea that the dissolution of Russia, thank you so much, Joni, not afraid, but a bit concerned. Of course, a bit concerned. Believe me, even in Ukraine, when we realize that this war, I mean, real war and real danger from the Russian side can stop when we finally see the collapse of this empire, we also realize that this is going to be dangerous for us too, because when something that big collapses, you know, we have this metaphor that when this dinosaur collapses, it can actually hit you a little bit. So we do realize that it may be a difficult process. So all of you who say that there are concerns, there are some worries. Oh, I love the idea of Ken that we have to introduce North Korea lessons, geography lessons sometime soon, maybe. And you are right that this may be a complex process, but it is inevitable. So let me tell you why we think it is inevitable here in Ukraine. Because, well, Russia is very big. You all know that Russia is officially the largest country in the world. It occupies 1/6 of the globe. In this Russian geography, we can clearly see that Russia definitely does not need new territories. It has enough of the territories. Many of its territories are uninhabited. Russian territories that are inhabited look very, very poor, and the level of life in Russia is much worse than it is in Ukraine or even in Georgia. That's why they hate post-Soviet republics that managed to evolve. Thank you so much, Jesper, that managed to develop, that managed to build something, and do not want to return back to this Soviet past, which was an awful period for us. Thank you so much, Mike, for buying me coffees. So we see here that Russian survival is impossible without the expansion. That's the only way they get some new people, some new money. And in reality, they don't need these territories at all. I hope you understand that. They have enough territories. They have more than they need. They don't have enough money. They don't have enough people to repair the roads, to, I don't know. I'm sure those of you who visited Russia, and I don't mean Moscow or St. Petersburg because they do not represent the real Russia, but like Russia somewhere far away. Another important thing is we had this lesson on the channel, and I will ask you a question. Do you know how many republics constitute Russian Federation? How many of them are a part of the Russian Federation? There are 22, and Russia is just one. And there are many, and they are very different from Russia. They are very, very different from Russia, which you understand, which was once named this Muscovy, and it is something that you associate. It's Moscow, it's Bryansk, it's Tula, it's St. Petersburg. And there are lots of republics, Russian republics, that are very different from it. And if you were to see people, if you were to hear their language, if you were to see their lifestyle, you'd be surprised how different they are. Thank you so much, Godzi. That's amazing. Thank you so much. That's a true inspiration. And we are very grateful. Thank you. So we have a lot of very different peoples, and they became a part of the Russian Federation or the Soviet Union or the Russian Empire by force. It was not their choice. It's not the Commonwealth. By the way, I love the results of voting that so many members of the Commonwealth are ready to see us as a part. Thank you so much, and thank you so much, Peter. And when people speak, when people have interviews, many of them in different corners of the Russian Federation actually do not identify themselves as Russians at all. And there are lots of people who are Muslim. There are lots of people who don't speak Russian. There are lots of people who have totally different lifestyle and totally different traditions. And unfortunately, They are not allowed to learn their language. They are not allowed to practice their culture, and Russia Russifies them. And there are lots of results and researches that are made by by countries that freed themselves from Russia. That, for example, when these countries joined or were occupied by the USSR, they had like, I don't know, 75% of population of one nation, and then in 20 years they will have like 10% left, and all the rest are Russians. And it's not because these people died out, but because they treat badly indigenous peoples, they treat badly cultural minorities. You will not find any Ukrainian cultural club or library even before the start of war. They denied the very existence of these people. They denied the very existence of their cultural national identities. They destroy them. That's why in 20 years you come to a people's republic somewhere in the Caucasians and they say that, oh, we are all Russian, because it's much better to be Russian than to be, I don't know, Chechen. Now, after they killed like 200,000 Chechen civilians, and Chechnya is not a big country, and so one of the most important things that I want to explain first is that this Russian Federation is too big. Second, that it consists of 22 national republics, and actually many of these resources that Russia is so dependent on, like oil, like gas, like gold, whatever. Thank you so much, Marcos. Thank you for becoming a sponsor and supporting our community. So many of these countries that are now, they are rich, they have a lot of resources, but unfortunately, uh, they are sending everything to the center, because Russia describes itself as a federation, but in reality, it is a very, very centralized power. And what they do right now, every of these people's republic, of course, they don't have free elections. Of course, they don't have freedom of speech. And they have criminals, they have mafia bosses sent to their republics from the Kremlin, and they are ready to do whatever they want, drugging resources, getting the money. And in reality, for example, the Republic of Sakha on the far east of Russia, also known as Yakutia, is very rich. They have lots of diamonds, they have gas, and the leaders of that republic, controlled and actually set by Kremlin, they are very rich. They are super rich. But the republic itself is poor. Also, it is important to know that many of these republics, like Tatarstan, like Buryatia, like Ichkeria, they tried to become independent. In 1991, for example, Tatarstan proclaimed sovereignty, but Russia undermined them. Russia tried to buy their leaders. Russia, once again, and the democratic world of that time. Thank you so much, Cindiana. Happy to see you. And democratic leaders of the world, the president of the USA, the prime minister of the UK at that time also supported Russia. That's why Ukraine was denuclearized. That's why we have signed Budapest Memorandum, because somehow people believed that that it is that Russia will be the guarantor of peace in this part of the world. And in reality, Russia is the aggressor, and not just in this part of the world. Happy to see you, Yoda. And it was a very wrong choice. Like, imagine if these leaders of the world back in the 90s would choose Ukraine as a guarantee of the democratic processes and security, and invest in us, invest in our security. No, they have chosen Russia, they have chosen Kremlin, and they have closed their eyes on lots of crimes committed by the Kremlin. And lots of these republics, they tried to become independent. They wanted to get out of Russia in the 90s, especially. Then, after the Maidan revolution in Siberia, they started a movement for Free Siberia. And many people who live in the cities like Yekaterinburg and so on, they actually say that they are ready to become independent and they are Siberians. When you ask them about the nationality, they don't say they are Russians. They say, I'm Siberian, I'm Caucasian, I'm Bashkir, I'm Buryat. They don't say they are Russian. And they do not let these nations practice. For example, what they do, they say that you don't need classes of your, let's say, Tatar language at school. You will have them as additional classes, like, so that you have more time to learn Russian, because you can practice your native language at home. And then if you have Russian at school, Russian at university, Russian at work, you stop practicing uh, your own language. And they allow, just as they wanted to allow Ukraine, you can dance your national dances in a primitive way. You can, I don't know, practice some holidays, but you don't have to identify yourself. And actually, lots of people now suffer in this big Russian Federation. And those leaders who want to protect Russia, I see many who actually want to protect Russia, unfortunately. Thank you so much, Peter. And they do not think about these nations, not just about the safety and security, not just about Ukraine, but they care about, they don't care about these nations too. They don't care about people who are in prisons for the desire to be free. They don't care about the cultural rights they are not able to practice, and so on. Heroям слава. So, yeah, I will quote you. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. And unfortunately, this what happens quite often. I'm on a hike. Thank you so much. I like it. I do things like that too. Sometimes I listen to the YouTubers that I like while walking in the park. So actually, you do the same. Thank you. I like it. So, Russia is, being the largest country in the world, Russia is really, really, really poor. Yeah, we can call them the forgotten nations. Russia is very poor. Russia is dig and sell economy. Someone of you taught me this phrase and I love it. Dig and sell economy. They do not produce anything. And I remember that one of my videos was about Russian economy, and I've asked you a question like, what Russian product, what Russian invention, development you like, you remember buying, and you feel like, okay, this is something really, really good, something really interesting. And yeah, the only thing that I've received was vodka. Vodka in plastic bottles, vodka like that, vodka like this. This is pathetic. The largest country in the world, the country that wants to rule the world, that country that threatens London, Washington, and Paris with nuclear weapons, is just like, you like caviar, but I'm sorry, caviar is not like produced. It is produced by fish. It is the same like dig and sell economy. Lada is stolen, right? You are from Fiat, but Lada was stolen even in times of the Soviet Union. This fake Russian culture, which is in reality the cultures of other nations. Like, they've used lots of Ukrainian authors, authors, artists, and claimed, like Kandinsky, for example, or Malevich, right? And they were claiming these are Russians or so on. But let's forget about this 19th century authors. Can you speak of super popular writer from the largest country in the world with a very big population and claims that they have the strongest culture? Can you name me like five best-selling detective writers, I don't know, comedy writers, series that you love, musicians that's on? No, they don't produce it. They speak about Tolstoy. I'm sorry, Tolstoy is dead long ago. And he was quite a good propagandist, describing the world that after Germany you have Russia, with no like Poland, Czechia, Slovakia, no, just Germany and then Russia. But these are people dead long ago. Gas is not something they produce. Gas is a natural resource which belongs to many nations of Russia and actually belongs to the planet. Gas, oil is something that they dig. Well, you say about Mendeleev, but I'm sorry, these are long ago dead people. These are discoveries and inventions from very old times. Let's talk about 21st century. Let's talk about the end of the 20s. Let's forget about the Soviet period. Once again, AK-47, it was invented at Soviet times, and I won't be surprised if it was a part of, like Ukrainian development. I also feel very angry that, Olaf Scholz does not let Ukraine strike and use Taurus, because I feel like he has the sentiments for the Russian soldiers which defeated Nazis in the 20th century. But oh my God, every fifth soldier, every fifth hero of the Soviet Union is the Ukrainian soldier. The theater of war, all the main battles were in Ukraine. They were not in Siberia. They did not destroy Moscow. They destroyed Kyiv. And it was Ukrainians that were a big, big part, if not the decisive part of the Soviet army. And they feel guilty before Russians. They feel sorry for Russians. So I'm sorry. Oh my God, Fyodor Dostoevsky. When did Fyodor Dostoevsky die? I am speaking about modern things. Modern, yeah, bear fur cats, fur coats. You're right. Thank you so much, Sulijo. So Russia, does not produce anything. They do not have competitive science. They have old Soviet inventions, secret invention that they can share with North Koreans, and they sell their natural resources. They sell their natural resources. Nothing else. This is not the economy of the 21st century. This is not Japan or Switzerland. This is not the US or Canada. And once again, we don't see millions of people moving to Russia. So one thing that we realize will lead to the dissolution of Russia is that it consists of many different people's republic that are very diverse, very different from Russia. They actually have nothing in common apart from these criminal mafia bosses that Russia puts as leaders of these republics to draw resources out of them and to finance Russian military machine. Then we see that Russian economy is dig and sell economy, and it is now war economy. And it spends lots of money, it brings lots of money, and it will be overheated. And once again, if without the support of China, if without the support of North Korea and Iran, Russians would not make it. So we have to be honest. Russia is not fighting this war alone. And Russia gets all the support they need really quickly. After the discussion of Kim Jong-un, they have lots of soldiers in a couple of minutes. They have lots of missiles in a couple of minutes. So this happens really quickly, and they are very dependent. And for example, there are some good things, some good symptoms that we may be sanctioning China. I mean, the US sanctioning China for the support of. Thank you so much, V, for coffee and your kind words. And thank you so much, Tony. Cheers. Time to sip cola. And thank you so much, Joe. So all of this, we see that they don't have strong economy. They are dependent on resources. They are dependent on these republics. They don't have federation. They don't have any respect to cultural rights and things. And they are an empire. I know there were many empires in Europe, many countries abroad, across the ocean, were something like empires, but it all stopped in the 19th century or in the 20th century. And what we witness right now is the end of this empire. Empires, they don't live in the 21st century. And the only way for Russia to survive is actually, thank you so much, Rudy, is actually to help and uh, liberate all these countries, all these republics, and all this, including Russians, because as long as they are empire, as long as they need this control, mafia control, censorship, and so on, nothing good will come there. Scott says that we need more likes. I see that we have 817, and this is actually great. So yeah, thank you so much, Neil. And right now, the problem is that from, like, once again, I'm a Ukrainian, I'm a person that lives in the context of war for almost 3 years, and I can clearly see Antonov is in Kyiv, Ukraine. It's not Russian. And once again, founder of Antonov, Maria, that was destroyed. Thank you so much, Godzi. You're amazing. And once again, we're talking about old Soviet discoveries, old Soviet inventions. And the majority, like, of brains in the Soviet Union, I'm sorry, were from Ukraine. Unfortunately, we have invested in that country too. So thank you so much, Yoda. You are kind and inspiring. Yeah, YouTube is not always treating me well, but people on YouTube are treating me well. And oh, I see. So it is very interesting to, like, when I see the face of Putin with all that plastic surgeries, when I see that he is actually walking on high heels because he is afraid of his height, when I realize how crazy he became after this decades of dictatorship, it all looks very, very pathetic. And a person like that honestly cannot be a world leader. And I'm sure you understand when you look just at Kim Jong-un. Like, can he be a world leader? Huh? Do you see? And right now, yes, unfortunately, we are going through a problematic period for his height is not that bad. And I think, like, it's not a problem whether you are tall or short. It's about the way you accept yourself and feel yourself. Oh my God, Godzi. I don't know. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You're making a great support to the channel. This week, we are filming with Sasha 3 more videos. And you're actually helping to do that because we're doing that in studio with lights and sound and so on. We have to rent the location, and these are going to be 3 very interesting topics. I'm working on the scenarios. Like, I'm guilty. I'm writing. I don't type it. I'm writing, and yeah, that's that's the notebook that I have. I love, like, notebooks, and I have, like, the one where I keep my book ideas. Promise me you won't laugh, and I will show it to you. You see, like, where is your book from? from here. But it's not going to be yeah math, so that's just like just like that. And I have one more actually. This is just like for the next book project that I have, and this book project that I'm working on is here. This is from a Ukrainian cartoon Mavka, if you have watched it. And it is a frog cat, like a magical creature that lives in the forest and it actually glows in the dark. So you see, I'm not a very serious woman. Yeah, leopard, Mavka, everything, and whales. That cat thing is indeed very cute. So this just was, yeah. And thank you so much for our troll fighters. We have the best ever troll fighters. So thank you so much. Just I am writing a lot of things in the notebooks, so because when idea comes, I can put it down in the telephone. But no, Yoda, it's not glows in the dark from Chernobyl. Actually, like when I'm done editing the book, because I have finished writing it, but now I'm rewriting some things. I'm a perfectionist. That's a problem. And having read some of Pomerantsev's books, I want to add more personal experiences. And that's what I'm doing right now. Plus, I had some travels in September and it was difficult to work, but I'm getting back to it. But I have another idea and for the next book, and I think it might be very interesting. And I even have a title for it, and somehow it is connected with Chernobyl because I don't know. I've told you that when I was at school, we were. Known as Chernobyl Generation. Like we were called like Chernobylci. Chernobylci, this comes like people from Chernobyl, Chernobyl related. It's because people who were born starting from, I guess, 1982 up to 1990. So this, and I am in that period. That was a moment when like we were called Chernobyl Generation and we had some social packages from the country, and like the closer you lived to Chernobyl, the more benefits. It's impossible to say benefits, but like the social things. And my glow Yoda is also from Chernobyl. Chernobyl charm. So anyway, we were called like for example, you enter to the university and you may have some bonuses, and they will say, "Oh, you are Chernobyl children, so yes, you will have these bonuses, or you can go to a camp." So this will be. No, I did not. I don't know if I have any superpowers, but there were lots of things. And we were constantly given these pills. I've told you this story already, that like when I was in the first class, like once a week, we were given pills for thyroid, just like for the protection. And there were lots of, I remember that going to the market, there were lots of things that people were advised not to buy. And these were for years, because some parts of my region were also affected by this radioactive cloud. And for example, mushrooms, they absorb a lot of radiation and presumably iodine, yes. But it was insane because you will come to your desk, you will find the pill, you will take a pill, and this is when you are just like 7 years old. And I think that like modern moms would go crazy, but we were just like with dirty hands, you find some kind of a pill on your desk, what do? You eat. That's why. Thank you so much, Godzi. I see you like Chernobyl story. Thank you so much. And actually, greetings to France. Thank you so much for this insane help and support. And so this is my Chernobyl stories, and I feel there are so many things that were different. And actually, one of the things that I want to start that next book with is the fact that time flows very differently in different parts of the world. And I feel that I may have more in common with your parents, being much younger than your parents, than you in your developed like democracies. The things that I lacked in my childhood, I'm not saying it was bad, it was beautiful, but two sweaters were, whoa, I have two sweaters. uh, yeah. Thank you so much for buying me coffees and almost 1,000 likes. Yes, you are. Uh, there are many things that we were doing differently. Greetings to Malta. Yeah. And there were lots of things that we were doing and living differently. And I think that it can tell a lot about how weird and absurd life was at the last years of the Soviet Union, after the collapse of the Soviet Union. And we've evolved, we've changed, and they wanted us to return back to this prison of peoples. No, I haven't seen permanently red trees. And right now, what is weird, and like what is another proof that humans are bad for nature, is that there are so many wild species now in Chernobyl. Chernobyl is booming with bears, with no, well, war. So perhaps now it's worse because it's also bad for uh, nature, and all these explosions and animals escape, perhaps like to Belarus or elsewhere. But in general, before the invasion, there were lots of animals returning and growing there. We had bears, we had lynx, lots of lynx, and various ecology activists. They were putting video cameras in Chernobyl, like these photo traps. And it was insane because during one night you could witness so many. They had these wild horses returning, which did not live on the territory for hundreds of years, which actually proved that um, humans are sometimes worse for the nature than even radiation. Of course, it happened 30 years later, but nature started blossoming there. And I dream that after we win, you will be able to come and to see many interesting things, because, oh my God, Ukraine has so many to offer, starting with deserts, mountains, oceans, rich cultural heritage, very diverse. There's lots of Central European, Eastern European countries that resemble different corners of the world, and of course, nature, and even Chernobyl. Yeah, and thank you so much for all the gifted sponsorships, guys. You are great. And but also thank you so much, Ed, and greetings to London, Canada. I already have this in my mind map, your location. No, you cannot visit Chernobyl right now. We tried to film something with Sasha. There are no excursions to Chernobyl, and it's obvious we are in times of war. We hear that Russia is ready to target Ukrainian nuclear power plants. This may happen. Everyone in Ukraine actually knows how close we are to the nuclear power plant, so how much time we will have to escape in case of the need. This is very realistic. Because Russians will definitely be afraid to use nuclear weapons, even tactical ones, but they can target a nuclear plant and they can say, whoa, we did not do it. You see, they know no responsibility came after they destroyed Kakhovka Dam, which is a huge, greetings to Norway, which is a huge ecological catastrophe and a great tragedy for Ukrainian people, Ukrainian nature. It's a huge terrorist act, but what happened to Russians after that? Literally nothing. So what will stop them from targeting a nuclear power plant? Um, Nothing. And they will say, no, it did not happen. It was Ukraine or Ukraine air defense or something. No, I don't think we should have given up nuclear weapons. You see, nuclear weapons are an argument. Right now, nobody can do anything to Russia because they are afraid of nuclear weapons. We made a mistake. We shouldn't have given them up because we gave them up for the guarantees. And now, when we want guarantees, people say so much support to Ukraine, too many like weapons. Oh my God, you need 100 F-16s. We have given you 6, and you want more. You need 100. We gave you 6, and you need more. Why? Why? Because Russia has 300 and uses 300. And because we signed Budapest Memorandum and gave up our nuclear weapons, we have forgotten about that. That was long ago. You shouldn't have signed up the memorandum. It's just memorandum. No matter that it was signed by the president of the US and the prime minister of the UK. It was just a memorandum. And it makes us feel, of course, a little bit offended, of course, a little bit angry. It's not honest. No, it's not the way it should have been. Yes, some Russians died after digging trenches because, like, I did not count how many. I would love to visit North America someday. And thank you. With this, like, elections in the US, I can be gorgeous very often these times because I feel angry that the world is paralyzed. Like, as if we choose one candidate, then Putin is okay, or what? No, Putin is a war criminal no matter who is the president of the United States or other countries. But unfortunately, people are observing. So, right now it's impossible to travel to Chernobyl. Once again, every Ukrainian, like, it was really funny because quite often, like, I feel like I need to share more about this everyday life, because a typical conversation in Ukraine, when you're talking about business, when you are talking about projects, like your work, teaching, whatever, and then out of a sudden, today I had this conversation, your friend says, like, I think I should buy this. In Ukrainian, it's dosimeter. I don't know, how do you translate that in English? Oh, yes, I would love to see India. I loved watching Indian films when I was at school, especially. So I have this beautiful image of your country, very bright and very colorful. Dosimeter, yeah, that's the correct word to check the radiation. And like, and you hear that saying, like, and your friend says, I think we should buy it, it's good to have it, and you realize that it can literally happen. I remember, like, 2 years ago, it was discussed everywhere, and we were buying this raincoats with scotch, because what is, like, important if a nuclear power plant is destroyed nearby is that you can cover your body with cellophane, you can have a mask, and if you hide underground with, like, or at home, but everything is hermetic, and you wait for 3 days, you can actually go out and you can survive. It's not like deadly. It's about this radioactive days and then so on. And it's insane. And what is interesting is that literally we all know how close we are located to nuclear power plants and how much time we have to react, because like radiation, this explosion, it travels with a certain speed, and it may give you some time, so that you have time. So for example, where I live, I have approximately an hour and a half, which is luxury, I must say, because the closest nuclear power plant near me is 120 kilometers. So this gives me time. Thank you so much, Run Forest. Thank you. And I've read your conversations, how you watched my previous videos. That's so sweet of you. And yeah, we do have some tablets. Hopefully, we won't need it. But that's a part of my everyday life. So, just like a part of vlogging, a part of doing some projects, a part of things you think, okay, 120 kilometers. And I'm an optimist, you know? Thank you so much, Name. You keep it, well, it's not far, but Ukraine is dependent on nuclear power plants. We have lots of, well, not that many as in France for me. Uh, but uh, but we have them, and I have like 120 kilometers away. Uh, oh yeah, hope Santa will bring us Courage Breach. Yeah, hope Santa will bring not the. Thank you so much, Godzi. Thank you so much, and thank you for the for giving this sponsorship and membership to so many people. Our community is indeed strong, and I'm very proud of it. It is definitely much stronger than Russia that will collapse, believe me. And I, as a Ukrainian, I feel very bad when I clearly see how people, well, I'm sure you feel that too. Uh, Greeting, Tamas. I'm sure you feel that too. And of course, in Ukraine, we're not crazy and we realize that people don't want Ukraine to lose. Yes, sure. I mean, like, politicians, they do support Ukraine. They understand that we are standing for the right things, but at the same time, they don't want Russia to lose. That is so vivid. We can see it so well because if Ukraine were allowed to do everything we want and need back in 2022, I tell you, we could have thrown them all out of our territories. But then we have months of delay. Then we have, thank you so much, Italy. Let's support that together. And we can clearly see that people are afraid of this dissolution and they think like, how do we help Ukraine survive, but we don't let Ukraine win, because if Ukraine wins, it means Russia loses. And if Russia loses, what will happen? This process has started. And whether you help Ukraine or sacrifice Ukraine and Russia continues to other countries, at a certain moment, we will need that you will fight for your countries, you will fight for your economies, you will try to protect yourself from economic hybrid wars, political wars, and especially those countries like Finland, like the Baltic countries, like Poland, who knew what Russian Empire, what Soviet Union was. They don't need any explanation, any persuasion, and we clearly see that Russia will be at war until it collapses. Russia will be at war. Obimayo, that is a message to England. And we have to understand that this process started when they turned away from any chance to grow up in a democratic country, when they have Putin as their leader for almost 30 years, when they unite with dictators like Lukashenko, like Kim Jong-un. They are developing this axis of evil. And greetings to Quebec. And this is what they will continue doing, because for Russia, with its dig and sell economy, with its lack of real national ideology, and you know what is very interesting about Russia again? They are extremely fascist, like they treat very bad different nations within Russia with disrespect, especially those that come from Far East. They mock their appearance. They say it's no place for them in Moscow. They are very, very racist. They are very chauvinistic. I'm sure those of you who communicated with them, you get the idea. And at the same time, they keep these nations inside the Russian Federation, which is absurd because they go against the ideology of Ruski Mir, because Ruski Mir is very much about this white boys from Moscow. And they have boys from Asian republics of Russia dying in the front lines in Ukraine. And this is insane because it's just like an ideology that contradicts itself. And right now, it does not go, it could not pass any test. Russia is super fake. It's just an image. Thank you so much, Marcos. And thank you for the presented sponsorship. Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, I cannot always read the names. Thank you for buying me coffees, Rand. I'll Nervik. Hopefully that was the correct word. And thank you, moderators. I guess you had a lot of work today. We will discuss that later in our dictator group. But honestly, this image that many countries think like, you know, that many countries in the south or in the east, they like Russia because they believe Russia is for traditional values. Oh no, oh no, they are not. And they are simply filled with this hatred. They are filled with the disrespect. And from one point of view, they want to keep all of these republics inside the Russian monster, but at the same time, they disrespect all of these nations. They mock their language, they mock their appearance, they treat them as the second or the third quality, and they actually send them to meat grinders. And that's the reason why Putin is afraid to start a new wave of mobilization. That's why he asks for North Korean soldiers, because he does not want to touch Russian boys from big cities. This may cause some problems and dissatisfaction. And this actually proves that what is also interesting with Russia, just as with the Soviet Union, you see the history repeats itself. Many leaders, democratic leaders, were afraid of the collapse of the Soviet Union. Just think about Bush and his speech in Kyiv that, no, please don't get out of the Soviet Union. Luckily, we did not listen to him. And also, they are, thank you so much, Lukasz, and cheers to you. And it was inevitable. By the way, it was also influenced by oil prices, because it's a dig and sell economy. Russia is very dependent on oil and gas prices. We keep destroying their oil refineries, and Saudis threaten they can drop the prices. And many actually claim that this bad war in Afghanistan and very low prices for oil and gas led to the collapse of the Soviet Union. It was not the only reason, but it was one of many reasons which contributed to that. And now we have a similar thing. What is also interesting about the collapse of everything in Russia is that it all happens really quickly. With other countries, normal countries where you don't have that much propaganda, that much censorship, you typically see their symptoms, you typically see what's bad, what's wrong. Russia pretends, Russia fakes everything is fine. They can fake the numbers. Their president can say that GDP is 1, when in reality it is 10 times smaller. This is the level of lies that you people coming from healthy societies may not even imagine, because like your presidents do not lie that much. Of course, all politicians lie, decorate, but not to that extent. And what we see right now is that Russia fakes everything, and it can collapse in a second. It can collapse, and this collapse will come from within, because it is all rotten. It is a dark, dying empire. It's all rotten. It's all fake. Just as they claimed Blitzkrieg. And it is 3 years, and they did not manage to achieve anything of what they wanted, just the contrary. And if our allies were more decisive, we might have had a totally different president of Russia already. And believe me, the world would have been a better place. I don't know where and how do we send them more confidence, more decisiveness, because Kim Jong-un, Putin, Xi Jinping, they are all bullies. They are classical bullies that are doing plastical surgery, walking on hills, hiding in bunkers, and people from healthy democracies still take them serious. That's crazy. But I know you know that, and please share the videos that you like on your social media platforms. Yes, soon we will have 200,000 friends, and this is really great. And I'm very happy to see all of you. And such conversations are very important for me too. They actually inspire and they add strength, because sometimes you can get very demotivated. Yes, 2001, you are right, Michael. We don't like 200 in Ukraine, and 201 will be better. So let's do it quickly. Also, I want to invite you to join me on Instagram. I will share with you one nice dessert that I will eat right now. I will have this perfect Saturday evening. I will read a book and I will eat this dessert. And if you want to see what's that, join. You can find it in the description of my channel, in the description of every video. So I will be happy to see that. Also, whenever I'm super emotional, I have some reaction and I don't turn any filters. I express my thoughts on X and on Threads. You can find me there too, and the links are there. Also, we have a merch shop. I'm not sure if it's still time to buy some Halloween t-shirts, but there are lots of other items that work well as reminders and conversation starters about Ukraine. As my beautiful team reminds, we have scammers, unfortunately. I never invite you to chat in WhatsApp. I never invite you to buy something apart from the merch shop, of course, but you can see these links officially on the channel. But in reality, I never have lotteries. That's not my style too. So please be careful and always report the scammers. Or you can always ask me or moderators and we will help you out. It's bad that such people exist, but with Russian soldiers on the Ukrainian territories, I realize many bad people exist, unfortunately. In the world that could have been such a beautiful place. Kati, you're a champion. Thank you so much. Sending you virtual hugs. Thank you for all this support. And thank you so much, Peter, for your support, for the coffees that you buy, for your continued support, and for this beautiful inspiring messages. They mean a lot. And once again, sometimes I feel sorry, I feel anxious, and then I talk to you, I read your comments. I always read the comments and they give me strength. Francois, it's approximately 7 Celsius right now. It's quite cold. And join Discord. Also, we have a nice community and Martin will show you in. And thank you so much for all the sponsorship. Thank you to all my patrons. I have a Patreon page and I communicate with you that too. Thank you for being patrons. Thank you for buying me coffees. Thank you for inspiring me. But most importantly, thank you for all the conversations that you hold to persuade those who doubt, who pretend that Putin is a politician but not a war criminal. Thank you for all the support that you give to Ukrainian people in your countries. Thank you for all the work and donations. I'm very grateful. And I realize that you could have turned a blind eye, but now you're here, you're standing. So once again, please share the messages. Thank you so much, Matt, brother Matt. Thank you so much. And I will be very happy to answer some of your questions. You can always give me advice for new videos. Remember to watch a video today because this will be our favorite Russian geography lesson when we discover more about their geography based on the locations of military objects that were destroyed there. And tonight, Ukrainian drones worked well. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank Michael. I want to thank Rudy and Martin, of course, and Pat and Francois and Yoda and Trev and Brand and some of you whose name I may not pronounce correctly, and Gato Negro and Carlos from Portugal and Indiana and many, many more, and Yoda and Scott and John. And I love you. You know that you are friends, you're family, and I cannot even imagine what my life would be without you in this very dark times. But you give me hope, and I hope that I give you some interesting information. United we stand, and we will definitely defeat this evil. Thank you once again, and Slava Ukraini!